Hello and a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world, and welcome to today's Postgrad Insight session. Today's session is brought to you by Surrey Business School. They're going to be talking to you today about their MBA specifically, the very popular MBA. Just a reminder, today's session is live, so if you have any questions at all, please put it in the chat or Q&A facility, and we'll endeavour to answer your questions at the end of the session. I'd like to hand you over to Deji now, who's going to be taking you through to the next 30 to 40 minutes along with Dan, and I'll be back for the Q&A at the end. Thank you.
Right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the session. I'm going to talk you through the MBA. It's an MBA information session. I'm going to talk to you about the Surrey MBA. The key agenda about today is I'm going to talk about us as a university, and I'll talk about the business school. So I'll mention things around our accreditation and the journey the university is taking, as well as the business school. Then I'll introduce you to what an MBA is. We'll discuss especially what our MBA is and what it looks like, what we are looking for. Why would you want to do a Surrey MBA? Why not? But how the learning and teaching on our MBA takes place and how we can help you. Okay. The University of Surrey is renowned for courses, particularly in areas such as engineering, computer science, business, health sciences, and social sciences. And as a result of this, the university's ranking, so university ranking, demonstrates things such as the reputation of the uni, our research quality, and most importantly, our global competitiveness. So some of the ranking you're looking at on the screen as we are QS World University Ranking. We're 285th in the world. This is a ranking we've just joined as a young university. It shows quite a lot of quick progress and will continue to do so. Our NSS ranking last year, NSS stands for National Student Survey, we're 11th in the UK for overall student satisfaction. This is an indication of we put our students center to what we do. So we're a student-centered type university to help kind of drive the progress of our students, because when our students do well, we do well. And in the Complete University Guide 2025, we're 12th in the UK. So the progression of how research quality, the reputation of the university, and our global competitiveness, it's becoming a lot. It's quite evident. Now, the MBA program teaching takes place in Guildford in Surrey. Now, Surrey as an area destination for studying, especially for the MBA, it's a fantastic place to come to. Apart from the idyllic look of the university, it's quite a green space to come into for learning. We are also surrounded by, at the last count, 107,000 businesses in Surrey alone. This was data from 2023. 200 of those companies are what we call the Surrey Research Park, which is owned and run by the university. So this is the potential of how we can quickly translate what happens in the class into meeting with prospective businesses. For the MBA program, we use a dedicated MBA room. Why a dedicated MBA room? Because as a community and as a school, you can imagine we have a huge community. And the Surrey MBA is a very special program. It's a flagship program for the business school. So our students are treated specially. They have space in which they can do the thinking, grow, and sort of develop. And it's also a space where we can bring in guest speakers, businesses into without having to pre-schedule the sort of events. So it gives that flexibility on that level of engagement. The space also includes area for mature minds to work and to think. So we have breakout rooms where ideas are shared and discussions are had within the business school. For the business school and the program itself, the MBA program is accredited by the Association of MBA and AACCSB, which is an international standard. These international standards also show that the MBA you get from the University of Surrey, the AMBA accreditation, if I may add, is only awarded to 300 universities in the world by AMBA. And the University of Surrey is one of those universities. So this is also a strong indication of how we teach, what we teach, how we embed the research culture into our teaching. A large percentage of our academics that teach on the MBA are research active. So this also helps with the ranking of the business school. So the business school ranking, Shanghai ranking 2024, with 39th for business administration. With the Times Higher Education World Subject Ranking, we're 90th for business and economics. For QS, we're a lot higher, a bit higher than the university. Well, you would imagine a lot of our programs in the business schools are highly progressive. For example, in our undergraduate programs, they go on to do placements. In our postgraduate programs, especially the MBA, we encourage our students to integrate the theory into practice very, very quickly, which is what they actually do. We're also a member of organizations that demonstrate the quality and depth of how we approach our teaching. So we're a member of PRIME, United Nations Principles for Responsible Management Education, which means our curriculum focuses on trying to create future responsible leaders that will be transformative and future thought leaders within this space or industry in which our graduates and alumni will go into. The way we teach at the business school is also recognized because a large percentage of our academics and faculty member, myself included, I'm a member of the CABS association, which stands for Chartered Association of Business Schools. Joining associations like this is very, very important thing for us in the business school because then we can do the checks and balances, and it supports and champions business schools that also helps benefit contributions to society. So what is an MBA? Yeah, so well, it's a master in business. I'm sure you've done your research and you're quite familiar with that. A lot of MBA programs tend to be generalist, providing the functional knowledge areas where you identify value or help organizations create value. One good thing about the MBA, I always remind everyone to, as an MBA graduate myself, is an MBA gives you a strong sense of purpose, as well as is one of the most defined degrees people can put on their CVs. It clarifies the purpose of your intent when you apply for work or when you're applying for a career. So your question might be, who is it for and what's a typical profile for an MBA student? I think by one of the panel member, Rashmi.
Um, Typical profile of an MBA student would be around 5+ year of experience. Should have a good understanding what MBA is, how he want to grow in his career. That would be an added advantage. For me, it was around 10+ years. Like, it's a typical profile starts from basically your experience plus your age and plus when you want to achieve this MBA, as per my thinking. Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Rashmi. So from what Rashmi's experience described there, we look for a range of students. So work experience, background, and age was mentioned. So our average age of our MBA students can range between 25 because of the work experience we expect them to have to 55 plus. Yeah. So we really do not have a typical profile we're looking for. We're trying to create a diverse, so as a program director, one of the key things we try to identify is create a diverse range of students. So some of the images you're seeing on the screen, these are our students. So you can, to give you an idea of the range, the depth of the type of diversity we look for in the MBA at Surrey. So the Surrey MBA this year and the previous year, we have managed to keep a good balance between the genders, for example. So we're often very close to the 50% mark. This year, we actually got a 50% a balance between the genders and between the number of countries we have in terms of diversity. We have 7 different international cultures within one cohort. In previous years, we've had international students from 11 different countries. This hand-picked approach to how we create the cohorts between the MBA helps us really develop a large range of perspectives in the way we teach the program at the University of Surrey. It also helps individuals learn and identify the different perspectives, especially when it comes to problem solving or trying to understand what the challenges are for particular organizations. So we are looking for professionals who want to work in any sort of industry, from engineering, healthcare, hospitality. We are surrounded by businesses that also mimics this from industry. So within proximity of where the university is located, we have Unilever, Allianz, Nestle, Siemens, IBM, Red Hat, a software company, BMW, Formula One, manufacturer, McLaren, Nokia, EasyJet. So the list really covers and demonstrates that our location in Guildford, in Surrey County Council, really gives us that platform of how we design and we approach what we teach on Surrey MBA. And the sort of our participants that come on to Surrey MBA are also the people who want to enhance their career prospect, climb the leadership ladder. So we would provide them with that sort of platform with which to go with. But I always say this too, as I said at the beginning, the university is student-centered. Our students do well, we do well. And we know an MBA is a powerful tool, but it's not a magic solution. It's the students and the cohort we bring together that really creates the magic on the program. But there are criteria, which Rashmi has alluded to earlier. So there is an academic requirement of a minimum requirement, 2-2, UK honors degree. Candidates without the above can be considered, but it will be on a case-by-case basis. In some circumstances, we will look at professional qualification, continued professional development. Why is it not so restrictive? Because it is about the cohort and the composition, so something I'll refer to as the cohort DNA. This is what really drives how we teach at the University of Surrey, especially because of where we are located and how we are located. Work experience minimum 5 years, because some of the case studies and how we teach really would like or would need people with managerial experience. It doesn't have to be in all areas, which is where perspective comes into the approach we use at Surrey. You have to have been in charge of either people, project, product, a budget, or have had experience of running an event. English, the program is taught in English, so you will be expected and required to articulate or communicate in English. Discussions will be had in English as well as debates. So I'm sure we appreciate that. So what makes Surrey stand out? Well, apart from our location, which gives us very huge proximity to these businesses, Surrey is also attached to a research center with 200 companies. So as a result of that, the Surrey MBA is grounded in Surrey's excellence in analytics, sustainability, innovation, and leadership. So this is one of the things that helps drive our reputation, the university's research quality, as well as our global competitiveness. So the Surrey brand is highly competitive globally. The size of the MBA program also allows us to create very close connection with our students and the alumni. So we are a small to medium-sized class. And by small to medium, we're talking anything between 20 to 35, about sometimes 50, historically 50. But that composition really helps people know their peers, develop with their peers, and work with people from various sort of background and industry. So we are also not very far from London. So we are a business school based in Surrey, but you are 30 minutes away from London. So for people who want to work in the city of London and want to study in Surrey and settle in Surrey, you're only 30 minutes away from London, the big city. You can go to the big city for the hustle and bustle, and you can come back to idyllic Surrey for some calm and quietness and still exist in a space where your career will continue to grow. So it's one of the special things that makes Surrey special. What was the thing, Rashmi, I'll come to you again. What was the thing about the cohort makeup that also made it special for you?
It was very extremely let me introduce myself first. I just passed
Yes.
out my MBA last year. It's September 2024. And about cohort, when Deji is speaking, it was a cohort with multi skills. Like basically, there are many students coming from various background, finance, business, maybe IT. I'm from IT, and airlines, and various fields like lawyers, somewhere lawyers, and very different field. And it was a very good cohort working with them with their experience. Like many of them were like 10 plus years of experience, and it was very different, and what we could say quick process to grab everything. It was very nice about the cohort. And um specifically working with the various field like marketing, analytics, project management, really helps us to be with them, and a very good experience about the cohort. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Rashmi. And so building a close-knit community in a small to medium-sized MBA program is very important to us, right? Our students are central to our success. There is also always resource availability when it comes to career support and development. We will touch on that a bit later as well. And we do expect all our MBA students to undertake a consultancy project. There's lots of opportunities to do that. Surrey Research Park, which I mentioned earlier, is home to 200 companies. The consultancy project, it is based on a selection process. I'm sure a lot of us will appreciate it's not a given, because as a university on the ranking, competition between universities, within the universities, and within programs, within peers, it's a real thing. It helps people develop, and it also helps people learn a lot quicker. So the Surrey MBA is accredited by the Surrey MBA is accredited by two bodies, the ACCSB, an international body, and Association of AMBA, a very selective, exclusive club accreditation. It only registers 300 students. So we do focus, as well as the academic components of the program. We know it's not just about subject areas. Rashmi mentioned earlier there that the cohort Rashmi graduated from last year, the range of people from finance, IT, law. So you can imagine being in that cohort and creating a sort of growing ecosystem. The one common thread amongst all of us when it comes to the MBA is what you want to do with your career and what you during and post the MBA program. So we do put a lot of effort into the preparation process. So we introduce things such as the mentoring scheme. You'll have a dedicated MBA career consultant. There'll be networking opportunities, and you will be joining our alumni network and contributing back to it, as well as growing it, so we can continue to grow that global network in which the program is trying to try to fit into. The program is run on, like most standard postgraduate programs, 180 credits. And the pattern it goes is, wrapped around it is the need to have a career development workshops and some master classes. We currently teach the program on a 2-week block teaching, which means every 2 weeks you'll have one module of focus and 1 week reading week. So in the first semester, you would focus on things about value creation. So topics around value creation will come up, from operational and supply chain strategy to finance. Of course, these are functional areas of many businesses and how they reach out to their customers and generate profit, or how they work profitably in case they're from the third sector. In the second semester, it's about solving complex problems. So the modules in the second semester will focus on solving complex problems. One of such interesting modules, they're all interesting in their own right, goes from using data to help solve complex problems, looking at business models, strategies organizations currently use, as well as when it comes to running a business, people are central to the way businesses work. So leading and developing people and organization, because organizations do go through like lots of changes, and its people are the pivotal part of their development. So as an MBA student or an MBA and an MBA graduate, being able to solve complex problems either for your current employer or a prospective employer or a business startup you are embarking on, or if you were going to work as a consultant, solving complex problems is one of the core part of what the MBA really creates. In the final semester, this is where you are able to specialize or diversify into an area of your choosing. We have a list of modules that would help you choose the sort of areas of diversification. The number and class of the students that we have also influences the number of electives that we provide. At the end of the program, we do expect our students to then specialize in something we call an integrative applied project. This is your chance to demonstrate to us that you can solve complex problems for an organization. So that would typically be taking on a consultancy project. Rashmi did one of these. We'll talk about that in a bit. Or developing a business plan. Some of our MBA students do wish to do a PhD after they finish the MBA. So what they tend to do, they would angle more towards doing a research dissertation where they have those skills to also move into that PhD stream. That's the format for our full-time program. The program run on a part-time basis. We use similar approach, but it runs over 2 years. Over the 2 years, it covers the sort of same approach where career and development, it's a wraparound for the whole academic program, which is a participation that would go through the year. The first and second semester of the first year, 5 modules are covered. And then in the second semester, the problem solving, the second year in the first semester, the problem solving component comes in, very similar to what we do in the full time. And then in the second semester, specialization, it's run, where you are able to choose 2 electives from 5 or more, depending on the size of the student cohort that we get that year. And then in the final part, each person will be required to do either a consultancy project, business plan, or research dissertation. The part-time students, for some international students, will be international students who are in the UK, probably working full-time, and also wish to do a Surrey MBA, right? So that's where that sort of format is more angled towards. Our learning approach uses block teaching, right? So 2 weeks block of teaching, a week of a reading week. I think it's a lot better to say a reading week. So 2-week block teaching on one particular module, 1 reading week. The reading week gives opportunity to sort of do the consolidation, work with peers, do coursework, so do discussions, or put together group work and presentations of a particular case or exercise you're working on. So the module across the MBA focuses on the use of a range of different methodologies, from a guided group work guided by a faculty member, or discussions guided by guest speakers, to looking at contemporary case studies, working with simulations, being presented with data of something you are going to tackle. Yeah. So that's the sort of framework of how the program at the University of Surrey looks like. If you have any questions, please do pop them in the chat or the Q&A. And then the last bit is preparing for what comes next. Dan?
Yes, hello there. So my name is Daniel Hunt, and I work within the business school as the MBA officer and have responsibility for the processing of applications for the MBA program. If you just bear with me a minute, let me just share my screen so I can just guide you through the remaining slides that we have. So hopefully you can see the slide that says preparing for what comes next. And I think that something that's been mentioned through the course of the presentation so far is the sort of transformational experiences of the MBA, and obviously individuals that look to do the MBA generally are looking to do so because they want to advance their careers. Maybe that's within the organization that they're currently working for. Perhaps they want to change function or change industry, or perhaps maybe they even want to start their own business and to go down an entrepreneurial route. So I think one of the advantages that Surrey Business School has, one of the things that stands out in particular, is the dedicated MBA careers consultant that we have, who works exclusively with the MBA cohort within the business school. So that individual is extremely experienced and has been working with the business school for a long time, so knows both the course and I guess generally speaking, what students are looking to achieve post the MBA very, very well. And provides a lot of intensive sort of expertise and sessions to help MBA students get set up for success with whatever they want to do when they graduate. So in particular, that individual provides one-to-one coaching and also group coaching throughout the program. And in particular, that has a focus on soft skills development. So that could be presentation skills, working on communication skills or teamwork. I think in particular that the one-to-one coaching sessions are, particularly valuable because they, the coach is really able to work really well with students to determine, exactly what it is that they want to do after they graduate. And, some individuals are really clear on what they want to do. Others know that by doing the MBA, it's going to help them in their career, but maybe they need a bit of assistance in terms of, setting some clear goals. So I think those sessions in particular can be pretty transformative for the individuals that have them. And then I think, a large part of going out into the job market, so to speak, post the MBA is how you position yourself in the marketplace. So the careers consultant will spend significant time making your CV work for you. So thinking about the goals that you have post the MBA and really trying to position your CV in a way that is going to set you up to get interviews and set you up to get the types of positions that you want to aim for. And also interview practice and feedback as well. So competency interviews and behavioral interviews, there is a certain technique probably for answering those questions, and the careers consultant will help you to prepare for those as well. I think from a sort of careers positioning perspective, we also have a mentoring scheme whereby we can provide interested students with industry contacts or alumni that they can reach out to during their studies. And I think that, in terms of your job search, networking with individuals in the industries that you're looking to get into is really important and effective. And also we have a broader university-wide employability and careers team as well. So not only do MBA students have access to the dedicated careers consultant, but they also have access to the wider employability and careers team. And then just finally on this slide, I mentioned the alumni network briefly. So the MBA has been running for a significant length of time, and as such, there are a strong network of alumni out in industry for individuals to connect with. We also have an exec in residence series as well, where industry leaders come into the business school and spend time talking to students about particular topics and challenges and industry trends within a particular sector. And as Rashmi is on the call and has had access to the careers consultant and this experience, Rashmi, would you like just to sort of elaborate or expand on this and maybe detail us with some of your experience?
Yeah, sure. About career consultant in MBA. While MBA, you have lots of experience for career. It's like a hay towards here, but we have a special invaluable support from our career consultant named Janice. She's very good counselor. She helped tremendously to rectify and prepare our CV from the basic. We just give her raw CV. She checked the CV for every student. It's not about the cohort. For every student, take one-on-one sessions with every student, just rectify the CV, improve our speaking skills, know how the UK market work, and help us to get job in our related field. She asked us that what interests you more, like which field you want to go and what you want to go and where you want to up skills and where you want to take the job. And her personalized guidance was very essential during my MBA. And someone like me, like coming to a new country and starting really from scratch, really helped her career guidance for this. Apart from this, obviously the professors are exceptional with a continuous journey learning experience. What I felt was teaching staff was best, and they teach beyond the curriculum, provide personal experience insight and actual factor numbers, what real world experiences. Yes, anything else you want to add to this?
You've just transitioned, Rashmi, didn't you, from the classroom to industry? What was that transition like?
Yeah, oh God, from classroom, I remember your class, DG, and it was like, I remember I was sitting at back. I know I was never a very scholar student, 75, no, never. But I was really like a student with taking the things very quickly and making the decisions, be confident what I'm saying. And I imagine myself, I was there learning during my studies. I developed a interest into research, decided to write a paper in an MBA about my past experience. I just took out some YouTube videos, checked something, and wrote a paper. And I presented that to one of my professors and I was not sure whether I was right or wrong, but when he go towards that paper and he just decided and he said, absolutely fabulous work done, Rashmi, let's publish it. And I was like amused, okay, really? And this was a very good gesture from the professor, and it was an incredible achievement for you. Remember this, Deji, right?
This is correct. I think Rashmi
Yes.
is a bit she's a bit too British and humble there. Rashmi during her MBA managed to do quite a
Yes.
number of things, which is she wrote a paper, the paper was published. Rashmi has also been invited on a conference, right,
Yes.
to present the
Yes.
paper. Rashmi
Yes.
wrote the paper. I just checked and we
Yes.
published the paper together. And as
Yes.
well as that, Rashmi got a job after her MBA
Yes.
program. Straight
Yeah.
transition through. The straight transition into job is not unique. You know, it's a pattern we have, Rashmi, but straight progression from the MBA into writing a paper and being a strong member alumni is part of the Surrey MBA DNA. This is sort of things we do. So thank you very much, Rashmi, for sharing that.
So just to take you to the next slide, I'm sure something that that you want to know and need to know is the fees and funding effectively for the course. So just briefly to run this through, tuition fees for 25-26 work out to be £30,200. That's for both UK and overseas students. And you can see an example of the payment schedule there. I think the only other thing necessarily to call out on this slide is that when you go through the application process and receive an offer from us, in terms of securing the place on the program, the deposit to be paid is £3,000, which is payable within 45 days of the offer being received by you as the applicant. So just to outline briefly the tuition fee for doing the course and also the deposit to secure the position, but I don't think anything else to sort of emphasize too much on this slide. But relevant to the fees definitely is scholarships, and that's something that we get asked often about. So we do have a range of scholarships that we can offer students who apply to the program. And the scholarships that we have typically cover between 10 and 50% of the tuition fee. So on this slide, I'll just call out or emphasize in particular the latter two. So for individuals who are applying to the full-time course, probably the Surrey MBA scholarship and the Women in Leadership scholarship are the most relevant ones to sort of outline. Both of those scholarships cover between 10 and 50% of the tuition fee, and we offer those on a rolling basis. And effectively, what would happen is part of the application process, when you've submitted all your documents and kind of formally applied, then provided you meet the minimum criteria for the program, we will then conduct an interview with you to talk about your career experience and your motivations for wanting to join Surrey and your motivations for wanting to do an MBA. And at that point, we would consider you for a scholarship. So there is no separate application that you need to do to apply for a scholarship. We'll consider you for a scholarship by virtue of you having applied for the program, if that makes sense. I think in particular, the Women in Leadership scholarship is fairly self-explanatory, but open to female candidates who can demonstrate their contribution to business and drive to support other female candidates in the future. And also the Surrey MBA scholarship, which we can offer to individuals who are applying for the program. And that's something that we offer to those who we believe can, really demonstrate that they're inspiring positive change, I guess, through their activities within their organizations and their career. But effectively, they both operate in a very, very similar way, awarded on a rolling basis and covering up to 50% of the tuition fee. Just lastly, I'll give a description of the Employer Partnership Scholarship at the top. The Employer Partnership Scholarship, if you're lucky enough to be working for an organization that wants to support you to do an MBA and are willing to contribute to your course fees, then we have a scholarship whereby we will match the employer's contribution up to 40% effectively. So say, for example, on the slide there, your employer wanted to contribute, say, 30% of the course fees. We would match that contribution of 30%, and that leaves a student contribution of 40%. So I think just to say that, really whatever your circumstances, whether you're an individual that's looking to apply off your own back, so to speak, for the full-time MBA, or you have an employer who can support you, we have a range of scholarships that we can offer to give you assistance. And then I think as well, just to expand on fees and funding, just to outline briefly a couple of other options that individuals can look at to get financial support for tuition fees or living expenses. Within the UK, there is a postgraduate master's loan, which is available, and information can be found on that through the link on the slide, gov.uk/masters-loan. There are some conditions with that, so you do need to be a UK national Irish citizen or have EU settled status or indefinite leave to remain. Normally been living in England or been living in the UK for 3 years in a row. So that's something that perhaps isn't available to international students, if you like, but it may well be that we've got some individuals on the webinar that that meet that criteria and might want to consider that as another avenue to look at in terms of funding support. And then also as well, just very briefly, there are within the UK, in the sort of typical consumer finance market, if you like, education loans that are available. So if you're not eligible for a postgrad master's loan, you may be able to apply for an education loan, and those are sourceable, I guess, on the open market in the same way as if you were looking for a car loan or whatever the case may be. But really, just to emphasize that there are a couple of other options available outside of scholarships for individuals that are looking for some support, perhaps in terms of funding the course. And then I guess, perhaps most importantly, in terms of making an application, what will you actually need to be able to do that, and what do we require? Well, first and foremost, certainly your CV, which probably goes without saying, but is, I think, the most important document that we need from you. So in terms of what we'd like to see, so please ensure that it's up to date and shows all your work experience. So in terms of the sort of range of careers, I guess, that individuals have had that come on the MBA, we've got some individuals that have got 5 years work experience, but also we have those who've got 11 or 12 years of experience. So regardless of the amount of experience that you're bringing to the course, please on your CV do outline all of it, even if the older experience is shown in brief. So I think it probably stands to reason that we'd be looking to get more of an overview of your more recent experience. But please do outline, your oldest experience as well on the CV. And then in terms of other information to include, so, certainly job title, employer name, the duration of the time that you've been with the organization, a job description in terms of your responsibilities within the roles that you've had. But I think also it's important as well to emphasize actually the impact that you've had within those roles. So not just perhaps a description of the tasks that you had, but actually how you were able to improve things within your position in that role. And also any other further or higher education that you've completed, and any professional development that you've been through, which could be being a member of a Chartered Institute of Marketing or finance or whatever the case may be. But I think, the CV is certainly there to bring to life your experience in its entirety. And, we want to get a full picture of you and, your various achievements when you apply for the course. Additionally, academic certificates and transcripts, clear color copies with all information that's easily readable. And also, perhaps as important as the CV is a personal statement. So we'd like you to produce a one-page narrative about why you want to do the Surrey MBA, how you think it will benefit you, and what you think you can bring to it. So the course is collaborative, and I believe that people are encouraged to give their opinions and share their experiences of their career so far. So I think, in terms of being able to contribute effectively and well to the class, then we'd like to see a little bit of your reasoning on what you feel you can bring to the MBA. And then finally, 2 references, at least one of which should be an employer reference, and also evidence of English language. So for those that need to provide evidence of English language skills, that does need to be a recognized qualification by the university. There is plenty of information on the university website of which qualifications in particular will accept as evidence of English language. But I think that, if that's something that you don't have in place at the moment, then don't hesitate in putting an application in, because you can provide that evidence after you have received a decision on your application. So, as I say, if it's not something that you have in place at the moment, please get your application into us, and then you have, once you've received a decision and you've received an offer, then you have plenty of time then to sort out the English language qualification before then and the start date, effectively. So that's just to take you through the application process and what we're looking to receive, what we need to receive as part of that process. So hopefully that's all relatively clear, and that brings us to the end, effectively, of the deck, and happy to open up to any questions that anybody has about what we've discussed or otherwise.
Thank you, Dan. Really appreciate that. And to Deji and to Rashmi as well for your time. There's quite a lot of information there to kind of go through and to kind of pick the bones out of. But Rashmi, I want to start with yourself, because from a student's perspective that's just graduated at the university, we heard from Dan there about what looks and appears as though a very simple application process. How did you find that application process, and were there any issues along the way which the university and the business school helped you with, and ultimately made it a lot more stress-free? Because it can be stressful, can't it?
No, application process, I remember it was a very pretty easy application process. It's just an CV. I put my CV, placed everything in my CV, and later, yes, why I want to do Surrey MBA, why I have choose Surrey. It was a pretty easy. The transcript, I think I have submitted the transcript. Even I have submitted the additional experience that I have done, even the certifications that I have during my career. So I uploaded everything, whatever I had. I just want to, don't want to lose this Surrey MBA, and it was a very good. But the good initiative was, after discussing everything with my MBA director, that time Chris was there, and when he took the interview, he decided, like, okay, this will be required. What's your dream? What do you want to, I was already a business manager in India, and then I decided to take part in an MBA and come into UK. So he was like expecting some answers from me, and it was a very good conversation with him, which helped me a lot, really, what I really want to achieve. And application was very quick. I think he took my interview, asked me some questions, and then he was impressed by my answers, by my CV, and the experience, of course. And then he offered me this Women in Leadership Scholarship, and I think he offered me 50% Women in Leadership Scholarship, and I was amazed by like the things that he covered, which covered my 50% of cost, making it more significant affordable for me for choosing an MBA. Plus, why I choose this MBA, because it was nearer to London. This was a very I was looking for a program that was near to London, where to help to like bridge this gap between a countryside and a London. So I think Surrey was very good and feel like home. So this was a very quick application. I think it took around 1 week, and everything was done very easily. And apart from that, whenever I was having some questions with my application, I really emailed to admission teams, and they were so quick took coming on with me, like I think two working days they come on with the answers, and it was really easy process, like applying from India, but it was very easy process. I don't think I really felt anything about this. Yeah.
Superb. Thank you,
Yeah.
Rashmi. And Deji, one of the things I'll just want to pick there, what Rashmi mentioned was the fact it was close to London. We've kind of spoken about it already, about the importance. There might be many reasons as to why a student might choose Surrey. It could be the class size, it could be the quality of the education, it could be the location, it could just be the affordability of where you are. Because you've got to remember, if you are in London, MBAs are very expensive in themselves anyway. To then have to go and live in London makes it 10 times harder and more expensive.
This is it.
Guildford is huge. It's a massive place in Surrey on the outskirts, but it is important to remember it's probably easier for you guys to get to Heathrow and Gatwick than it is to someone in North London. So
That's
those
very
transport
correct.
links and that infrastructure link is well and truly there, isn't it?
Yes, this is very correct. It's well said. We are 30 minutes away from London, and you're not paying London prices, and you're getting the experience, an accredited qualification like you would get in London in Surrey, as well as the amount of businesses we have around Surrey, 107,000, I think, if I may repeat. And for those who want to extend out into particular type of industries, London is just down the road. So it is a very affordable way to go through an MBA program with the same quality as you would get in most ranked universities in
Yeah.
London. Another thing, if I may also add, is our size is deliberately small to medium because we do want our students to network and develop as part of our growing Surrey MBA network.
I think one of the things that struck me as well, Deji, and I'm going to stick with you, Dan, I'll get to you in a moment, is the career opportunities and how much, because probably because of the smaller class sizes that you're able to do it, you really hone in on a student and make them feel like you're actually helping them with the next career step. And a big part of that is the employability opportunities post graduation. How does that look for a student? Because you mentioned in your presentation about the career contact or the contact one-on-one sessions that they can have.
Yeah.
How important is that to a student?
It's very important because a year is a very short time. So the one-on-one, it really gives, although an MBA students joining the program is already talented, they already know what they want. So the small classroom size, when you're working in such a small, neat area with one-on-one contact with consultants, the immediacy of what you need to do and the career track you need to follow and choose from suddenly becomes very obvious. And you know you're not walking that walk alone, right? You're walking in line with the sort of support framework in place, the scaffolding, as well as the actual practicalities of what you're trying to get to. You also get that reassurance from a one-to-one small classroom size of things you can start with, even if you're not clear on where you want to go to next. Because the MBA does a lot, it just give you the wings to go into many different directions because that's the way it's designed. So that small, medium-sized classroom allows us, without one-to-one networking, the access to a consultant and one-to-one, to have that conversation most people will ordinarily put off. If you're in a large classroom size, 150 students, it's very easy. For an MBA, very easy to get lost if your personality type is not an extrovert, right? So it's our classroom size caters for both the extroverts, the introverts, the verts, if you may like. So that size is really, really well apt for anyone doing an MBA who wants to move on.
Super. Dan, I'm going to come to you at this point just from a recruitment and application process point of view. We heard from your presentation there about what the steps are, the fees and funding opportunities as well. One of the things I want to elaborate on is just how many international students are still coming to the UK. Presumably, you've still got, I say still because I know Surrey have got a very cosmopolitan background when it comes to students applying. But for all the reasons Deji's just mentioned and Rashmi's gone through, you've got a strong international cohort of students that apply. Is that right?
It is right. I think for the full-time MBA, the cohort is entirely international, really, and I think that's consistently the case. And I think that the value of that is that there is a large number of individuals from many different countries bringing many different cultural sort of experiences and knowledge and expertise, across a variety of sectors. And I think that, the diversity of the cohort really helps with the kind of richness of the learning and collaboration as well. So, it's the cohort is entirely kind of international, and I think that just to sort of expand on the location as well. I mean, we've talked about the advantages of being based in Surrey and being very, very close to London, and being able to go into London very easily for a day or a weekend or whatever. But not being in London and having the huge rents and everything and cost of living in London. But having, probably better access, as you've mentioned, to Heathrow and also Gatwick as well. From Guildford to get to Gatwick is, half an hour or so. To get to Heathrow, it's 20 minutes, half an hour. So, I think that we are kind of blessed to be in a position really whereby we're very, very close to London. We're in a town that is on the outskirts of an area of outstanding national beauty in the country, and also we have international transport links which are literally minutes away. So I think all of those things add up to a pretty comprehensive and attractive proposition.
And also, Dan, whilst it's very important to talk about fees and funding and scholarships, and there's a lot of people that do apply and they ask questions and they kind of think, oh, it will never happen to me. I know Deji's mentioned in the past that last year you actually enrolled a student on a full 100% scholarship. Deji, if I can come to you at this point as well, because I think that's so important to remember that we go back to the whole widening participation kind of level of education. You've got a huge diverse amount of students from all different backgrounds, which
Yeah,
is great.
yeah, this is correct. This is correct. And the way the scholarships are awarded is after an interview. We look at the interview, we look at the experience, we look at what the person is bringing in to the cohort, or the way the cohorts are created would depend on the applicants. So the number of applicants that we get and the makeup of the applicants that we get. We have to focus on that diverseness of an MBA cohort. And if we need a little sprinkle of dust to complete the makeup of a cohort, we would stretch out the scholarships as needed. Rashmi had 50% scholarships. It's very rare when with Rashmi scholarship. So we do look at how we will put that together, and we look at every application on a case-by-case basis in those sort of instances.
Superb. And I mentioned diversity again. I think that's so key. We saw the women in MBA funding option as well. I think it's only, if you're watching this on demand, this is live in March. Last week was International Women's Day. And there's more women in MBA than ever. And I think that's so important to embrace that, because there'll be many women watching around the world that 30, 40 years ago, this option wouldn't have been available. And now there's a specific scholarship available. And no doubt that's so important. Are there a lot of women within the courses and the classes that if you are looking, let's say you're from South Africa, Southern African country, that they don't need to worry, they're not alone. There's going to be people from all over the globe in a very similar situation that it's new to them as well.
This is correct. This is correct. Our diversity it's absolutely not just the Surrey MBA, if I may add, the community in the business school, the community in the university. Once you come into the university, all you need to do is look around and you will get the feel you are in somewhere in the world where you meet people from different backgrounds. You couldn't guess where people are from. Within the MBA program itself, historically, the average of gender split has been 54-46. The current MBA students, we have 50-50 split within the genders, 7 different nationality, 8 different industry sort of experiences. So some of them move from one industry to another, have had experience of various industry. And within the current students, we also have students who returned, who graduated from the uni and returned, which is one of the testaments of how we do that makeup. With the gender split, especially the women in leadership scholarship that we are offering, it really is important that we have to remember, we only have to go as far back. Some of you might know of it. We only have to go back as far as the last recession and some of the decisions that were made by organizations, some of the popular case studies. This was largely because the way people think became a lot more narrower. So diversity in terms of gender, depth, background, age range is a very important component of the MBA program. And we do this at the University of Surrey for the Surrey MBA.
It's indeed. Dan, if I could just let you have the final word just before we wrap things up in terms of, we've seen the QR code, we've seen the application process. When are the intake dates? When are the next kind of sessions that if students want to find out more, bear in mind this might be on demand for quite a while now. Students presumably can apply for September 25 and perhaps 26 at this point, whether it be January or September. What's the next steps?
Yeah, so in terms of excuse me, additional events perhaps that individuals can find out more about the courses, we run regular webinars and sessions, and just shortly we'll be putting up on the Surrey University website additional events that we'll be running online over the next couple of months. So we have been running those quite, fairly consistently through the autumn, and we'll be doing so through the spring. We're absolutely looking to take applications now for the autumn-September start. What I would say is, even though, where are we? We're in kind of mid-March, September. It's not that far away. It may seem a little way away, but I think that it's really beneficial. It'd be really beneficial for individuals to get applications in as soon as possible, because what we'll do is we'll process the application fairly quickly. I think that was sort of mentioned earlier. Once we have all the documents that we need, that we sort of outlined, we'll put you through an interview as quickly as we can, and hopefully get an offer to you, within days of receiving your CV. So I'd kind of encourage students, I think, that want to apply as soon as possible, because once you have that offer, you can then rest easy for the remaining months until the autumn, and also it gives you more time to sort out any accommodation or visa requirements that you have, rather than leaving it for a couple of months and then, all of a sudden we're into the summer, and September, October is coming pretty quickly. So yeah, we're absolutely looking to take applications now, and and we do try and speed up the process to get you an offer as soon as we can.
Dan, can I ask one more thing before we do wrap up? One of the things we've not really spoken about is accommodation. We spoke about affordability and whatnot. What's it like for students to live there in terms of opportunities to live? There's certain unis that offer guaranteed accommodation. There's certain unis that have specific on-site partners. Where does Surrey as a university stand on that?
Yeah, so we do have a range of accommodation options that are available for students, and we sort of look at that, I guess, on a case-by-case basis, really, depending on circumstance. There is accommodation at the university, and there's a fairly healthy, I would say, kind of rental market in the surrounding area. I mean, Surrey, Guildford is, we're based in Guildford, and Guildford is a reasonably large town, but also is quite easily commutable to from other nearby towns as well. So I think the benefit of Guildford, as we've sort of said about earlier in terms of location, is we're in the southeast, but we don't have the cost of living that you would have in London. We're in a fairly large town with accommodation options both on and off campus, and we're also fairly easily commutable from other towns in the local area as well. So I think that the stress of finding accommodation is probably significantly less with Surrey than if you were looking to go to a London university, for example.
And I would encourage anyone that's not sure either to head over to our accommodation zone. We'll have certain properties in Guildford, whether it be in the surrounding towns, like Dan's mentioned, or whether it be in London. You might want the hustle and bustle of London and travelling to Guildford. Deji, Rashmi, Dan, thank you for your time. Thank you so much. It's been a fantastic presentation.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you again,
welcome.
hopefully later towards the end of the year. Yeah. And it's been a fantastic session. Anyone missing anything? Any questions, any concerns? The Q&A and the QR code is on the screen as we speak. If you have any questions related to the webinar, webinars@postgradsolutions.com, or you can reach out to myself on LinkedIn. Thank you very much. Take care.